Hi, I'm John Waterhouse, and this is Weekday Wisdom. For those of you that have been here before, you know I'm going to ask you a question. If you haven't been here, welcome. Glad you're watching this particular Weekday Wisdom. We do this on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and you can see any of the ones that we've done on our website at cslasheville.com. So as I always do, I ask a question to get us started, and what I'm asking today is, how good is your thinking outside the box? The classic example of thinking outside the box comes from a 4-dot puzzle. Many of you have probably seen this. It looks something very much like this. 4 dots. 4 dots in the shape of a square, 3 lines of 3. And the task is to create 4 straight connected lines that run through all 9 dots. And that means, of course, that as you draw the 4 lines, you don't raise your pen. It's one movement, 4 lines to connect all the dots. So many people start with a diagonal and then go up and maybe across again. And that's 1, 2, 3 and back up. But then you got this one and this one that don't get included in the lines. And you can try it a bunch of different ways and you get the same result. You can't get all the lines in the box if your plan is to stay inside the square of these dots. The answer is not inside the square of the dots. It's actually by going outside of the box that makes this work. And the answer looks something like this, or like this, or like this, or like this. And what you'll notice here is that there's only one line that actually stays inside the box. It's this one. The other 3 lines all have to go outside of the box of dots to answer the question, to solve the puzzle. It's a pretty simple little thing, but our minds tend to be held by boundaries. And we hold ourselves to those boundaries thinking that we have to do something inside of what we think the boundaries are. But in most cases, the boundaries in our lives are made up. We think they're there, and they're only there by our own limited thinking. So what's important is to be able to see outside of the box, to be able to see outside of the general norms of the way we think it should be, to find an answer that'll work. So to continue this beyond the little puzzle, I have a story for you. And the story is one that happens in a small Italian town many, many years ago. There was a merchant who owed a lot of money, a large sum of money, to the town's prominent moneylender. The moneylender, who was old and very hard to look at, had admired the merchant's daughter for many years. She was beautiful and she was young and she had this great life before her. And the moneylender wanted in on that. He was not married and the merchant's daughter was also not married. So the moneylender proposed a settlement with the merchant. He said that he would forego the debt if the merchant's daughter would simply marry him. Both the merchant and his daughter were horrified by this proposal. To make the deal seem a bit more like a game of chance, the moneylender said, "Here's what I'll do. I'm going to pick up a black pebble and a white pebble and put them in this empty bag. And the girl will have to pick one of the pebbles from the bag. If she picks the black pebble, she'll become the moneylender's wife and her father's debt would be forgiven. And if she picked the white pebble, she would have to marry the moneylender and her father's debt she would not have to marry the moneylender and her father's debt would still be forgiven. But if she refused to pick a pebble from the bag, her father would certainly be thrown in jail for a very long time." Well, they were standing in a pebble-strewn path in the merchant's private garden. As they talked, the moneylender bent over and picked up 2 pebbles. As he picked them up, the sharp-eyed girl noticed that he had picked up 2 black pebbles and put them in the bag. When he held the bag toward the girl and said, "What is your choice? Will you pick a pebble or will your father go to jail?" The girl agreed to the test. She put her hand in the bag and drew out a pebble. But without looking at the pebbles, she fumbled it and let it fall to the ground, which was covered with pebbles. And that pebble that she had picked immediately got lost in all the other pebbles on the path. She said, "Oh, how clumsy of me." But all is not lost. Look into the bag and show us what colored pebble remains, and that will tell us which pebble I picked. Sometimes it's necessary to think that way, beyond the parameters that you're given, to see that there's maybe another way, that you can solve the challenge before you, that you can resolve whatever you're working on. There is always a way. There are often many ways. And it's our job, it's our task in life to not be limited by our own limiting thoughts on the way things are, because they're most commonly much broader and greater than we ever imagined. I hope this is helpful. I hope it comes in handy somewhere in your life. And I hope you have a fantastic week. Thank you for joining me. I'll see you again.